So we will begin. I'm just going to actually move to a second slide here for those of you not familiar with Zapier. So Zapier actually allows you to integrate Crelate with thousands of apps here. So there's actually over 1,500 in which you can perform some lightweight automated tasks. So it's fundamentally built on the principles of triggers and actions, meaning I perform some sort of action in one product, and that actually creates a similar action in another. So you're setting up the trigger, i.e. I create a contact in Crelate, create an action in another product to create that contact there. So there's a variety of different use cases, whether you're looking to save time on some manual data entry, automatically take candidates from a Google Sheet and add them to my database, or automatically take candidates from Crelate as I add them and add them to maybe a bulk email service. There's a variety of ways, and we definitely encourage you guys to get creative and certainly share your thoughts to the creativity, because we obviously want to learn more about how you guys are using this, so we can ultimately help you guys become more effective with the different automated tasks that you guys are setting up. So as you guys do get into some of the use on Zapier, they do have a great support team over there. We definitely recommend contacting them for any specific questions and assistance in regards to the Zap setup. So if you have questions specifically pertaining to Crelate, then obviously we're your go-to. But any questions related to creating a Zap or editing or altering a Zap, we definitely recommend their support team. They have a great group over there and a good layer and level of expertise in relation to their product. So certainly, specific questions, feel free to reach out to them at any time. They have email support, chat support, so there's definitely a couple of ways that you could take advantage and get in contact with them. Before we get underway with the presentation, I also just want to launch a quick poll just to see, of those of you in the audience, if you are actually using Zapier. We're just a little curious to see if people are taking advantage or not taking advantage of this. So either way, we'll be interested in, hopefully for those of you not using, you can take something away from this call and begin utilizing and taking advantage some of those features. So it looks like the vast majority of our audience is not using this at present. So I have a quick follow-up question. For those of you that are using Zapier, so what sort of specific, or maybe if you're not using Zapier, still feel free to comment for how you would like or how you could envision yourself using this and automating some of your tasks. So we came up with a couple of quick options. Oh yeah, I create a contact and then I create that contact in bulk email, or I do some social media outreach. I create a job and I publish that to my Facebook page. So just to see what you guys are using, if you have an other function that you guys typically use, and this is a multiple choice selection, but if you do have another option, feel free to throw that in the chat. Again, we're just really interested in some of the ideas and use cases for you. All right, so thanks for the feedback here. It looks like Google Sheets and bulk mail providers were a big two. And funny enough, those are actually two that we're going to be covering on the call. So that sort of works well and lends itself well to what we'll be getting to in just a moment. So I'll just stop the share of those results, and we will actually get now fully underway with our presentation. So as I pull in my Crelate instance, you should be seeing the home page. We've actually created a brand new experience for how you can use and integrate Zapier right within the product. So typically and previously, we thought it was a little cumbersome to actually add that integration. So we've provided what you'll hopefully find is a much better experience and a much more clean experience to easily access and create Zaps all right from Crelate. So if we navigate here to the main menu and go to our profile and preferences, within that section, you'll see an option for integrations. This is actually where we were and where we began some of our last call when we talked about Spark Hire and Ring Central. But down below, you'll also see a new option for Zapier. So Zapier, if I expand the Getting Started, will then produce several options. We have sort of a step-by-step guide that you can actually follow. So if you're not familiar with Zapier at all, this can be a great link to actually go ahead and get started. This will bring you to their page. You can hedge that with their Get Automation Inspiration if you're looking for ideas and cues. And if you're actually looking to sign up, they do have free accounts. So you can actually just navigate right from this link. It'll direct you to Zapier to create a quick account. From there, the API key we'll actually discuss in a little bit, but you will need to have enabled your API key in order to link Crelate to Zapier. That's actually how they talk to one another. And then below we have some content both on creating a Zap for those of you, more prefer the still frame content. You can access the article. And we also do have a video prompt that'll actually keep you in app and open up a live video so you can take a look at the content here in regards to creating Zaps. Below that, we do also have the capability for pre-made Zaps. So this is really where a lot of your ideas come into mind. Hopefully, we have done a good job of speaking to you guys and hopefully reading your minds to find out how you're using this. So we do have some pre-made templates both for bulk email users and Google Sheets users, Trello users, popular one, tweet a job out as soon as you create it. So we came up with just a couple, obviously this is only a very select few options, but we tried to take a sample poll of our customer base to see how you guys were using this, and then go ahead and create some Zaps to make it a little bit easier. So these are just Zapier templates. There's still ways to create full Zaps, which we will show in just a minute. And if I actually navigate to Zapier's page, we'll have Brittany here throw this URL in the chat. This will actually show and unveil the full listing of Zaps available. You can even group, oh yeah, let me come in and filter just by accounting related services or calendar related services or anything else that Zapier has available as an integration partner. You can search through and see which different providers that you have the capability to ultimately integrate with. So we'll have this in the chat for you. So if you had a question about which Zaps you can possibly integrate with, that would be a great place to look and start. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to go ahead and actually create contacts from new Google Sheet rows. So if I create use this Zap, this automatically brings us to a Zap creation page. So you see now we're on the page to create a Zap. It's just going to load this in for us and automatically have some data readily available for us. So if I select continue, now it's just going to integrate my Google Sheets account. It's already integrated here. If not, I could simply connect that account. But it's simply integrating. The second step here will always be integrating whichever provider that you are looking to connect with your Zapier account. After I move forward, it's just going to then have you select, well, what do you want to integrate? In this case, I actually have a Google Sheets, a contact spreadsheet that I want to integrate with Crelate. So I just select the name. It'll pull in all of your Google Sheet options. In this case, it's my contacts. And if you have multiple pages on that sheet, it'll have you select which page you're looking to add. In this case, I only have one, so I'm simply going to make that selection. When I continue, it'll then look and pull the rows. So in my Google Sheet, I'll actually pull that in for you here, just to give you a quick preview of actually what we're going to be doing. So I have a Google Sheet available. You'll see it now on my screen. It's just a list of contacts, first name, last name, some basic demographic information. So my goal here is as I add a contact to my Google Sheets, that will then be added to Crelate. So all the Zap is doing is taking a row. So it's showing me my call Alan, the phone number, the email, the company, and the job title. So it's just going to give you a few previews of the different rows you already have, just to make sure that that is a representative sample. We'll say that it is, and I'll continue. Before then having the option to now prompt an action in Crelate. So we already created our trigger being when I create a contact in Google Sheets. Now we're creating the action to go ahead and create a contact in Crelate. So when I continue, I can now link to my API key. So I've already done so. I have a Crelate official account here. If you haven't, you can actually connect your Crelate API. Launching this will have you paste in your API key. If you're not sure where to find your API key, you can actually select the hyperlink here to navigate to your My Settings and Preferences. Actually selecting that link will bring you right back to your Crelate and bring you to the API access here. So my API key is already enabled. If yours was not, you could simply turn that on and have a generated API key that you may then copy and paste. All right, so we'll just close out of the API notification here, and we're going to launch back up the Zap. So we'll choose our API key. Typically, you'll just have one. Obviously, since I do a lot of testing, I have more than one option. And now we're just simply going to be matching the fields that we have on our Google Sheet to fields in Crelate. This is a very similar procedure for those of you familiar with running a spreadsheet import. If you think about it, when you take a spreadsheet import and you have your import, Crelate reads the fields and then provides you with options to map them into Crelate. This is the exact same philosophy here. I can show more fields as well. So we have first name available in Crelate. Obviously, I want to take the first name from a contact in the spreadsheet, and it's going to use that sample contact we selected before. So you actually have some familiar data available. So we'll select Michael, last name Allen, and any other fields that we'd like included. So please note, if you don't add a field here, if you don't add anywhere to map it to, it won't then have a proper landing page in Crelate. So if you're creating a Google Sheet and you have a column that actually doesn't have a place to map to and you're adding data in there, that data will not be added to Crelate. So in this case, I'm just going to map everything I want, the job title, the company, the name, and then we'll add the phone and email address. So with that complete, I have all the required fields from me, or all the desired fields that I'd like included. I can then continue, which will load in a preview. So it's just going to show you what you've done. In case you've made any mistakes, you can obviously go back to edit, but it'll give you what you've actually set up from a mapping standpoint before I send a test. This just basically validates the information that you had input to make sure that all of the appropriate data is in the appropriate places. Once I finish, I can then have this Zap automated to create and turn on. So it's just going to automate for us to run this instantly as soon as this is triggered. So I can actually go right away to make another Zap, or I can go ahead to see it in my available Zaps. This will launch us to the existing Zap list. We can see any other Zaps we've previously created. Looks like we have a bunch off right now. I can come in using the caret dropdown to edit if I want to make changes or rename. I'm actually just going to change the name. I'm going to say Crelate to G Sheets. Now that this is set up and enabled, if I actually navigate back to our Google Sheets doc, we're going to go back here and open that up. I'm going to go ahead and create a new contact. So I'll create a contact for James Doolin. He is a product manager at Crelate. And his email we'll say is just jdoolin@example.com. And then we'll add a quick phone number, 425, and carry that out. So great, we've created our contact, and I now want to go ahead and visually see that in Crelate. So this will usually be pretty instant from a creation standpoint. So if we actually navigate back to Crelate, and we'll want to go to our contacts, we'll be able to see James Doolin here in our database. So we have the information provided, we have the job title, the company, all that information that we'd like included and that we had mapped over will be available for us for James. So obviously now if I want to go enrich his profile, perhaps I run a quick social media lookup, or maybe I'm going to grab a resume for him later on, you'll obviously have that same capability as you would in any other contact. So it's some great automation capability in this case for our Google Sheets example. Before actually moving on to creating a brand new Zap from scratch, I just want to pause, Brittany, just to see if we've had any questions come through so far.
So we did get some great questions. Just to reiterate, there is a host of other software that Zapier integrates with, and I did put in the chat the link for you guys to look up and see if that particular software does have an integration with Zapier and is another partner affiliate with them. I also will put into the chat a link for you guys to contact their support in case you guys have any questions creating a Zap for those of you that have experience with Zapier. But we have created a host of articles and content to assist you guys. I think Ian is going to show you now where you guys can access that within our help library, but I'll also include a link to that as well.
Awesome, thanks Brittany. Yeah, so we have created a ton of new content to go along with some of the enriched UI experience that we have. So if you navigate to our knowledge base system, you can get there a number of ways. If you click on the help page at the bottom and select on any link, that'll actually bring you to our KBA page, knowledge-based articles. But we also have just an easy URL. It's just support.crelate.com. So navigating to this link here will automatically bring you to our main support knowledge-based system. So if we actually navigate to the articles, we do have a direct section on our API. So it'll be its own unique section. You can actually type that in the URL. You see a little API up here. So we have some different content. That video that was actually on the support page as well that we were looking at earlier on creating a Zap, an article, how to actually manage your API key, some API documentation, and then a little bit more just about Crelate Zapier Integrations. So this will go in depth on what triggers and actions are, and then what Zapier is. So if you do have any specific questions, you can always navigate to that API section. Of course, if I do just search the keyword term Zapier, we'll have a number of content that will pull in as well. So whatever is easiest, you can always access that, however, via our support page.
Awesome. And we did get one more question regarding the benefit of utilizing Zapier and integrating a Zapier with Excel and Google Sheets. Google Sheets is the example that we have provided today. However, there are many other different integrations you can do, ones that might be of more interest to your company and the unique workflow that you guys have. A lot of times, even though we are doing it in one direction, because our API allows you to not only import information into your database, but export information as well, you might want to do the same integration, but in the inverse. And so those are other options there that will be toggled when creating that Zapier setup and configuring the different triggers that you're looking for. So if Excel sheets and Google Sheets might not be something that interests you, I would recommend looking through the apps that Zapier integrates with and looking at other areas that you could possibly automate your business by integrating another software with us that makes more sense for your unique workflow.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Brittany. So as Brittany noted, you can have Zaps not only come in like we just had where Crelate was the action item, but also pushing data out. So we'll give a brief example of that now. And to do that, I'm actually going to launch back up that Zapier page and make a brand new Zap from scratch. So instead of using a pre-canned template, this time I'm going to create Crelate as the trigger. So before, we had a lot of the body of the Zap set up for us because it was, again, a pre-canned template that we had given you as some guidance. But in this case, we're going to create a brand new Zap. I can search here. In this case, since Crelate is one of my recently used app, I'm just going to make that selection. And it'll show the available trigger options that were on that initial intro slide. So my goal here is that when I create a new contact, I would like to trigger an action. I will save and continue. Again, I'm going to make my API key selection, just like we did previously, and then officially pull in a sample of contacts. So in this case, it's actually showing me the contact we had just created. So since James Doolin here is at example.com, it's the exact contact that we had just created from our Google Sheets, so we can kind of see that pull in. But I could pull in other sample contacts if I wanted. There's my Kyle. It'll just give you a list of the contacts that you have in your system to pull in as an example. So you can really make any selection. We'll just make one here prior to having this test. So we currently lack an action step, meaning we've created Crelate as the trigger, but we have no action. So we'll go ahead and add that action step. And I'm going to say when I create a contact, push that contact to Mailchimp. So what sort of options do I want? Well, you can expand the option menu here to see what sort of actions this provider makes available. Now, each provider is the sole controller over what actions and triggers they have in their products. So that's something that only they can control, and we're just simply able to use the available actions and triggers that they set. So we will say every time a new contact is created, I want to add or update a subscriber to Mailchimp. From here, it's just going to link in my Mailchimp account. If I hadn't already connected, I could, of course, come into Connect Account prior to saving and continuing. So now it'll just have us, again, just like we did last time from Crelate, it's just going to have us map over fields. So I have an audience. It's called Crelate. It's just a Crelate list in Mailchimp. So I'll make that selection. And then as a required field, it'll also make us pull in the email address. So for Ryan, it looks like he's got a personal email address that I'll mark here. So with that completed, I'm not going to add any other additional fields. Everything sort of checks out for me. I'm going to continue and view. So the audience setup is Crelate and the subscriber email that I had set here. So if I send this as a test to Mailchimp, it will then launch and say that a test subscriber was sent and everything has checked out. So I can then finish to complete this Zap prior to giving it a name. So we'll just say Crelate to Mailchimp and then enable our Zap. So once this officially enables, we can then, just like with our other Zap, we have the capability to begin making a new Zap or go right away to see it among our available and existing Zaps. So you can come right back to keep plowing through and creating more Zaps, or if you'd prefer, you can actually go ahead and edit, or we can just actually go right ahead to see this in action. So if we navigate back to Crelate, we're going to go ahead and create a new contact. So if I create a brand new contact, now based on our desired trigger, we'll be looking to go ahead and create that contact in our Mailchimp account. So remember, for our required fields, we must have the contact's email address. So that is one of the requirements of our Zap. So when you're creating the contact, you just want to make sure that you have the necessitated fields. So we'll go ahead and create Eric. And we'll add in his email address as a personal address, because that is what we mapped to. So we'll say eweinbaum@crelate.com. So I'll go ahead and create Eric as a new contact in my Crelate, so we have his name and email address available. Now, if I navigate to my Mailchimp, I'll have the capability to go ahead and view contacts, including the new contact that we'd now like to see. So if I just give a quick click on the Mailchimp link up above, in this case I have 8 total contacts here, so we can go to our audience, we can navigate to the view contacts, and if we scroll down, we'll be able to see Eric now is a new subscriber. It'll tag your source as Zapier, and now you can go ahead and add and manage Eric to any other number of lists or campaigns that I'd like to choose and send from within Mailgun. So hopefully, and obviously the intent here was just to spark some different ideas and different automation options. Again, we'd always love to hear your guys' feedback of how you're using this and different ways you found that this can save you a good amount of time, so we can, again, automate our pre-canned Zaps to hopefully align with some of how you are using the system. And I'm just going to take a quick pause here, Brittany, just to see if any questions had come across.
No, I think the wheels are turning for a lot of our attendees here on different things that they can do and different ways that they can complete integrations with other software to hopefully expedite their process and allow them more time to focus on other areas of their business. Certainly, I know a lot of you guys might feel empowered and excited to create new Zaps, so going into our help desk and utilizing those articles or just through settings, as Ian showed earlier, is a great first start to get a refresher of some different ideas and some integrations that other users have done in the past. And I also, if you reference that link of Zapier support, they also are great because they know how to work with not only our platform, but the other integrated partners that they work with as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Brittany. And then for those asking as well, so we will have this available, this recording up on our knowledge base system, along with all the other Crelate Classroom series. If you're actually taking a look at our videos, it will be the very first video section up above, so you can always scroll back through to see any previous videos that we've created here on the Zap side of things. So feel free. This one, as soon as the recording is downloaded and complete, will be uploaded right here. But that will conclude today's webinar. So I just want to thank all of you here in attendance. Certainly feel free to reach out in regards to the next Crelate Classroom series of what topics and what information you'd like us to cover. We're always open to feedback and always open to hopefully unlocking doors and topics that are of interest to you and hopefully will provide the most impact. So thanks again and have a great rest of your afternoon.